So, about a month ago, shortly after the first coronavirus bailout package, I started to become a little bit worried that lobbyists were going to end up getting a bailout. And the reason for that is because I saw this article come out on April 15th, and it was basically talking about how lobbyists, political consultants, and some groups were suing to try to get a piece of the last bailout pie. Now, I didn't necessarily think that that lawsuit was going to end up going anywhere, but it did tip my hat to the possibility that in any future or any subsequent bailout packages, they were really going to be pushing, really going to be pressuring to try to get a bailout for themselves. And so I read that and assumed that that meant that Republicans in the next bailout package were going to try to sneak in a provision to bail out the lobbyists. Well, I was wrong. Turns out they are going to be getting a bailout, most likely. It is in the plans, but it's not the Republicans that are pushing it. It's the Democrats. So this is actually just genuinely depressing news. I mean, just really, really sad news here. So Nancy Pelosi is pushing for a taxpayer bailout of corporate lobbyists. So this is probably one of the saddest pieces of news that I've seen in a really, really long time. So this is documented here by Lee Fang of the Intercept, or actually I shouldn't say saddest, just disappointing, right? Just such disappointing news. But Lee Fang of the Intercept basically talking about how there's this lobbyist group that's literally a lobbyist group for other lobbyists, and this group has really been pushing Nancy Pelosi, pushing Mitch McConnell and the like to try to bail out the corporate lobbyist, arguing that this is really important and that we need that they absolutely need a bailout. Now, I don't know why Nancy Pelosi thinks that this is politically savvy or why she thinks this is a good idea. I mean, this is the kind of thing that, average everyday Republicans, if you ask them, they oppose it. Average everyday Democrats, they oppose this kind of stuff. It's only the kind of thing that like a very small subset of Washingtonian elites would really support, kind of corporate bailout. But I dug up this letter. So this is actually the like actual sort of letter that they sent out, this lobbying group sent out to, you can see here, it was sent to Nancy Pelosi, Kevin McCarthy, Mitch McConnell, Chuck Schumer, talking about why they need a bailout. And I want to read you this quote of it because it is unbelievable here. So, quote, more than 62,000 associations across the country play an important role in America's workforce, create industry, provide professional standards, and disseminate information and resources to people in need, particularly during a time of crisis. They're talking about corporate lobbyists here. Particularly in a time of crisis. These organizations are already relied upon to help coordinate federal resources to combat the coronavirus pandemic, and they require staff to fulfill this duty. I mean, this is unbelievable, but the ridiculous part about this is technically that wasn't even really a lie, because it is true. Congress basically outsources their law writing abilities to corporate lobbyists. We saw last time around that, when it came to the last coronavirus relief package, it was basically just a hodgepodge of different stuff that corporations wanted. They all put the stuff in, copy and paste onto one big text template, and then the various members of Congress, or I should say various, aides to those members of Congress read through, various parts of it and maybe struck down parts that they weren't okay with. I mean, that's how the most recent bill got written so fast. So it actually is the case that, yeah, Congress completely relies on lobbyists to write their bills. So in a sense, it's true. Congress needs lobbyists in order to write their bills. So Congress would come to a complete standstill if they didn't have lobbyists. But that's the problem, right? Like that is the very problem. And so now we're in a situation where, they're like, look, you need us. You need us more than we need you because you need to bail us out. Otherwise, you won't be able to write any laws. So it is unbelievable right now. I mean, it's almost like they're holding our government hostage. It's unbelievable, unreal. And if I can't make make your day any worse here, we saw this coming out. This is basically talking about the internal debate between sort of Republicans and Democrats and the different ideas that are going around. And basically, Democrats right now are particularly focused on trying to get money going to state and local governments. And Republicans, on the other hand, though, guess what they're trying to do? They're trying to get employer protections to make sure that workers cannot sue their bosses if they go back to work and then get sick with coronavirus. I mean, just like the most ridiculous debate ever. Like, look, obviously I want to see a bailout of state and local governments, but there's good reason to think that Republicans are going to try to narrow that down specifically. We've seen quotes from Donald Trump. We've seen Ted Cruz come out very prominently saying that, it only has to go to coronavirus specific things. And what's going to end up happening is that that's going to be very specifically circumscribed so that then it can't go to people like police officers, teachers and the like who, what's going to end up happening is a lot of the budgets were already drained from those other, those other sectors to try to deal with the coronavirus response. So we're going to end up cutting in really, really essential areas that are maybe more so indirectly related to responding to the coronavirus. Like obviously teachers are incredibly important for even the coronavirus response, even though you might not think of them as directly related to the coronavirus response. So everything in the state and local budget is actually really, really important for this whole thing, because I mean the budget really is like, it's basically one big pot and it just gets allocated in different ways. So it's unbelievable. And the stuff that Mitch McConnell wants to do specifically, actually I want to show you this because this is actually really interesting, and possibly could give us a glimpse into how we might be able to respond to this kind of thing. But Mitch McConnell, as I was mentioning earlier, wants to shield corporations from liability. But if you read this part here, the Senate leader also opposes an infrastructure package in the next bill. And the reason for that is he's specifically against this, which is, obviously a bad idea. But the interesting thing here is that Donald Trump is in favor of this. So there's a quote here that's really interesting here. "We need to keep the White House in the box," said Mitch McConnell, referring to any infrastructure package. "The Democrats in the White House need to get the message," aka Donald Trump needs to get the message. So Mitch McConnell is specifically and explicitly blocking literally the possibly only like good thing that's coming out of the only like productive idea that's coming out of this debate. Actually, I shouldn't say the only productive, but the major good idea that's coming out of this debate, which is that, hey, maybe we should have an infrastructure package. Maybe we should use this as an opportunity to create jobs, which people desperately need, to fix our roads and bridges, which we already needed to fix anyway. So like that's like the one good idea, and Donald Trump is on board with an infrastructure package and has been pushing it and has been proposing it, and the Democrats are interested in it. Even Nancy Pelosi has said, yeah, we would be interested in this kind of thing if it looks good and this is the kind of thing. But Mitch McConnell's saying no. Instead, he's more worried about protecting companies so that then when they reopen, workers can't do anything about it. I mean, just unbelievable. I mean, literally just like the boss's right to let you get sick, to force you basically to go in and get sick. So it's unreal. It's unreal the kind of things that the Republicans are pushing for. So like here, I mean, like it's one of those situations, like obviously the Democratic plan is better, but still, I mean, the corporate lobbyist bailout, it just seems completely disgusting on all sides. And the only like the major productive thing, the infrastructure bailout, is being blocked up by Mitch McConnell, which brings us to another point here that I want to make sure to drive home here, is a lot of Democrats think that, oh, if we just get rid of Donald Trump, everything will go back to normal. That, oh, I mean, Joe Biden, we saw him saying that, oh, if we get Donald Trump out, Republicans are going to snap out of it. They're going to wake up and realize how crazy this whole thing was. Guys, it's clear, it's very, very clear here. Mitch McConnell is the actual bad guy in this picture. If anything, Donald Trump is just the sidekick who goes out and distracts you, while Mitch McConnell comes in and does the actual bad stuff here. I mean, this is just a clear and classic good example of that. I mean, it's unbelievable the stuff that Mitch McConnell is out here doing, and Mitch McConnell out here wanting to stop funding to hospitals. I mean, it's actually kind of disgusting the stuff that Mitch McConnell is proposing in his package. I mean, we're going to have to see how it actually ends up unfolding, how it actually ends up developing. This is a fast-moving story. It seems like every hour we're getting new information, so we're going to have to follow it closely. It's quite possible that the bailout for lobbyists does get cut because there has been a significant amount of negative pressure, but I honestly also wouldn't be particularly surprised if they keep it in, right? Because this is the kind of thing that Republicans aren't really going to fight, and the Democrats, if Nancy Pelosi is on board with it, the Democrats probably won't fight against it because they're too afraid to go up against Mama Bear. So it's we're gonna have to see. We're gonna have to see. Hopefully the corporate bailout, the bailout for lobbyists, that can get nixed, and hopefully we can get the infrastructure package, and hopefully Republicans don't try to too narrowly confine the way that funding goes to state and local budgets. But anyway, that's the state of things right now. Don't have any particularly good news for you guys where it regards this bailout. It looks like it's going to be another mess, another nightmare hodgepodge. So anyway, that's just my thoughts, my opinions. You can let me know what you think about it down in the comment section below. But for now, if you did like this video, I'd really appreciate it if you did hit the like button and then consider subscribing. Thanks.